The U.S. is nearing a truly gruesome new benchmark in the fight against the virus. 100,000 dead. USA Today created a special cover showing the faces of some of the victims. And we, of course, share their stories every week in our Lives to Remember series. The virus has killed around 99,000 Americans across the nation. That is more than the number of Americans killed in the Korean and Vietnam Wars combined. And it could soon top the U.S. death toll from World War I, Gail.
Where the coronavirus is often compared to another global crisis from more than a century ago. Starting in 1918, the Spanish flu killed around 675,000 Americans. Senior political analyst and 60 Minutes correspondent John Dickerson joins us now to offer some perspective. John Dickerson, good morning to you from my home to your home. This is one of those days where I'm sorry there's no green room, so I can come in and greet you appropriately, but nobody better to talk about this than you when it comes to history, John Dickerson. So how does this crisis compare to others in the past when you look at it? I'm glad you're here.
Well, it's kind of a hybrid.
How does this crisis compare?
It's kind of a hybrid. So it is like war in the sense that it is a national acute moment of suffering. It's like a disaster in that we are all witnessing this together. But it is very different in this moment that we're in because of the media environment we're in, and there is a federal expectation of response. When you talk about 1918, Woodrow Wilson, who was the president then, never mentioned the flu. He got it, but he never mentioned it. There was no expectation. That was partially because he was a tardy president, but it was also there was no expectation there would be a federal response. Now there very much is, and we have cameras trained on the presidency and on the executive branch, and there is an expectation, and that's why they trained for it in the Bush administration, in the Obama administration, and so it becomes a big national political question. And as you know, in our current moment, that means it gets a jaggedness that wasn't there before.
Yeah, and let's talk about the executive branch, John. What's the mark of an effective leader during these times?
Well, there is kind of a playbook, and you see a lot of leaders across the world and governors benefiting from doing three basic things. They tell the truth, even if the truth is kind of brutal. When I've interviewed experts about these disasters, they say, tell the people the truth, because even if it's hard, people appreciate that. They also take responsibility because that aligns everybody in the same direction. A leader tells their staff, you can't explain your way out of this. Don't spin your way out of this. You need results. And then the other thing is they inform people, because even if there is uncertainty, information helps people feel control. And people need to feel control and certainty to eventually someday start getting back to a more normal kind of life. If they don't feel that certainty and that sense of control, then everything feels out of their control, and that means they're not going to be able to get back to life as they lived it before.
So, John, how does a good leader balance the gravity of the situation and trying to give people optimism? We saw stories of people on the beach saying, well, the president doesn't wear a mask. Why do I need to wear a mask? People are actually saying that and following his example.
Well, usually what a president does is focus on two things: unity, we're all in this together, and also stitches the current moment into the national story. Why do they do that? Because psychologists tell us that in these moments where we're all experiencing something brand new and afresh, the brain reacts by wanting to fix it, wanting to flee. It operates at a kind of hazardous level. What a president or a leader can do is say, look, Americans have been through tough times before. We're all in this together. And that kind of brings people together and makes it easier to endure this. A president obviously can't scare the country. But again, the experts say that if you're clear with people and you give them the information, even if it's bad information, they feel a sense of control over their lives. And control is the precondition to getting through one of these things, because you feel some sense of tiny certainty in what is a big, huge moment of uncertainty. And so a president has to balance those two things. Most important, though, is giving people clear information so that they can figure out how to plan for their future, because the future is the thing that is so uncertain.
John, we're running out of time, but we're 160 days away from election. Do you see anything that you can compare this to and how we move forward?
Well, I mean, there have been big national moments, and the real test is look at FDR in the Great Depression. What he did was not only rewrite the social compact, basically tell Americans this proves that we are all in this together, but he then went the next step There's something in disaster recovery where they talk about build back better. He took that opportunity and said, this has exposed a lot of cracks in our culture. It has also elevated beauty and humanity in the American story. Let's take the best and let's fix what's wrong. That should be the test of this election coming up.
Yeah, I like that. Let's take the best. Thank you very much, John Dickerson, and fix what's wrong.